but I wanted to kind of know, like, Kent, you have a pretty awesome autograph collection yourself. I mean, we've been setting up.
I do, yes.
Yeah, we've set up at the expo together. I mean, you know, you and Ameet share a booth. I'm right there. We set it up as one big shared booth, and we've been doing that for a lot of years already. But you've got a pretty extensive autograph collection yourself. And my question, I wanted to ask two things. Number one, my question would have been, when you had Billy on your show, does he know about the extent of your autograph collection? Was one of them. And the second question was, does your autograph collection consist of more than just baseball cards? Because I remember you have a lot of baseball autos. Yeah. Do you have any entertainment, non-sport autos in your collection as well?
I do, and Ameet knows this. I have a lot. And even during our after show with Billy, there's a couple of pieces I showed him. He was like, you bleeper, because he doesn't have them.
Right.
But yeah, no, I've got like posters signed. I've got like a Return of the Jedi poster signed by like 5 of them, like Mark Hamill, Peter Mayhew, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse, and a couple of these guys are already gone, right? No longer, unfortunately.
That happens, man.
Yeah.
Ameet, what you just pulled something to show us? What did you pull over, Ameet?
So everyone knows who that guy is.
That's a David. Who is that?
This is David. What's his name again?
Anthony Daniels.
Anthony Daniels, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's one of my favorites.
One of his favorites.
Favorite actor, right?
From the Flash.
The goat, the space goat.
There we go. There we go.
You know what's funny? I've met William Shatner twice, and everybody kept telling me he was a jerk, but he was never a jerk with me though at all. So.
Good. Okay, so listen, we got people watching. Welcome everybody. Welcome back. This is, I can't actually put my brand on. Look at what happens when I try to put on the After Hours banner. It cuts off half of my face, and Ameet's too. It's more set up for the dual person, so we'll just leave it off. But welcome everybody to After Hours, Saturday, February the 6th, 2021. Hobby's going crazy, we all know. My guest on After Hours tonight, right there, we got Ameet Acharya from Cardboard Culture, new podcast. And down there, we've got Kent Wong, also from Cardboard Culture. Guys, welcome to the show. Ameet, you've been on before. Kent, this is your first time on Sports Cards Live After Hours. I want to welcome you guys. We got a few people with us already. Let's say hello to them. And then let's talk about what you guys are doing and make sure everybody watching goes and subscribes to your YouTube channel. We want to get your subs up by the end of the night. I'll take a lot of pride of that and definitely be happy with that. So I want to say hi to my buddy Joe. Joe, one more Saturday night, Joe. Hope you're well down in Santa Cruz. Up here, I'm in Calgary, guys. Calgary, Alberta, just north of Montana. It was like minus 22 degrees here today. Snow. I mean, that's Celsius. It's cold here, but you know what? I don't let it bother me. I still went out and picked up dinner for me and the wife. Sean Johnson, welcome to the show. Gimmicky Fibers is back. Happy to have you again. We got my boy Legion. We got Nick. Great to have you. Facebook user. I don't know who you are here. I don't do this anymore, guys, but I'm going to put this on the board right there. It said, not that one. Sorry. This one here. If you're watching on Facebook, guys, go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click the big blue button. It will help me know who you are, which just makes it more enjoyable for all of us. So go click that. Go right there. You see it on the ticker, StreamYard.com/Facebook. Click the big blue button. It will then allows StreamYard to pick up your name from Facebook. So please go and do that, because I'd love to know who this is. We obviously know each other. We got our boy Amish Dave Archer in the house. Dave, good to see you, my man. Good to see you. Billy says, I heard these guys broke the internet the other day. Billy was the first ever guest on Cardboard Culture with Ameet and Kent. We'll get to that momentarily. Rich in the house, good evening to you. Congratulations on the new show to Ameet and Kent. Foul 5 ball. We got Jason Pringle from Banff. Matt Godfrey, good evening to you. We got Chris, as always. Terry Fortune, where he is minus 32, 41 with a wind chill there. That is cold. That is very, very cold. So, guys, listen, first of all, I do want to say congratulations on the new show. I did watch it on Tuesday. Your guest was awesome, Billy. I really enjoyed it because Billy just got to talk about what he loves. We could see the passion. And I got to ask a few questions about some of these non-sport guys and how they are in signing autographs. And it was just really cool to hear. but I want to hear from you, Kent. Why don't you start us off? Like, apparently, from what Ameet's told me, you're not new to YouTube, but I think you're new to the live stream format. So how did you, how did you enjoy your first episode, and how excited were you to get it kind of over and done with, if you will?
Well, so just to give you a little background, so I had been doing YouTube break videos, and there was a YouTube TV, Breakers TV kind of culture group back in the day. So I know Amish Dave, I know Bronco 79. I've known them from that period, and there's a bunch of others that I can name, like GSN Cards, Era Falk 77, Den 1013. These are all guys that I kind of got together with back in the day, and they can talk about that too if you ever talk to them in person. But that's how I kind of started out, and then it was just a matter of breaking wax on YouTube. So I was doing that for a while, and then I kind of stopped, and then this whole aspect of doing live stream, Ameet and I had talked about it for a while, and we decided to make it something we were going to do in 2021, which we did. I'll be quite honest with you. I was a little bit nervous because it's a little different, because when you're just breaking wax and you're just filming yourself breaking wax, that's a whole totally different thing. But when you have a live audience and you have a guest and you're interacting with the guest, it's interesting for sure. It was definitely a groundbreaking moment for me. I don't know about Ameet.
Well, that's really cool. And you guys are doing a co-host sort of format, right? Whereas I do single host, one or more guests, but you guys are co-hosting the show, which takes a level of skill, if you will, because it's not like you're in the room together and you can talk at the same time and your audience can hear you both. When we're streaming live, and I tell all my guests this before we go live, I say to everybody, we cannot talk at the same time. We cannot interrupt each other, because if we do, we're going to cancel each other out. It's going to make it awkward for us and for the audience. And I think that's been one of the things I'm most proud about my show, is that we stick to that as best we can. And it's going to be, it was and will be different for you guys. So Ameet, to you, I noticed on your first episode, you guys hadn't mastered that yet. Are you going to have that? Are you guys ready for episode 2?
We've actually had many feedback discussions between the two of us. I knew right away during the show that I was nervous too, because manning the ship versus letting someone else captain the ship was like an Uber driver. You just sit in the seat. I was the Uber driver here. So, and I wanted to make sure I was sharing the driving controls with Kent. So I knew right away, and I admitted even in the show, I'm like, hey, Kent, I'm sorry, I never let you have your piece. But yes, we are going to be working through the kinks a little bit more. It's going to take some practice. I mean, we got a lot of positive feedback, but the more practice we'll do, the better we'll get. We've already, we're going to have a couple of practice sessions tomorrow after the Super Bowl, make sure we're ironed out for Tuesday. But I imagine it's going to take 2 or 3 shows before I'm feeling like I'm actually swimming and able to, in going through this in an easy way.
I don't doubt it. I mean, it was, you've been with me since the beginning of Meet and my show. You've given me feedback right from day one. You even some creative ideas, and so from watching the evolution of Sports Cards Live that it's like episode 1 to episode 80, completely different production. I would have to think. It's still me, but we get better as we do things more and more, and I'm sure you guys will too. And I look forward to seeing that evolve. Ameet, how? I know I talked to you leading up to it, and you were like, at one point, you're like, I'm nervous, I'm excited, I just want to get it over with. Is that kind of where you were at the end of the day on Tuesday, at the end of the show?
100%. I just wanted to get it done. I was like, look, let's just go. We've been talking about this for 2 to 3 months, probably if not longer. Kent and I have been wanting to do something in the hobby together, not just selling cards, but something else. And I just wanted to get through it. And honestly, the minute we went live, the whole world went silent for a good 2 seconds. And I want to thank Billy for being who he is and being very passionate about his hobby, because that made it very easy for me to direct the attention to him. But yeah, man, I was just by the hour mark, I was okay. But the first hour, I was a bit of a nervous wreck, and it did show. But I hope it gets better over time.
Well, the one thing I'll say to that is, it showed a little bit. But I know you, man. So it was easy for me to pick up on it. But it just means that, me as a viewer and all the other viewers that watch that episode may go back and watch it now, and we'll watch you guys continuing. Well, we're going to see big improvements. And that's what's really cool. It's like, I don't want to say I'm going to be proud because I really don't have much to do with it, but in a way, you cut your teeth on live streaming on Sports Cards Live with me. You were on episode 20 and 21, and then you've done 4 shows with me already. Really, we've done Expo, pre-Expo shows and Expo recaps. And I still want you to come and just because you're all high and mighty, you got your own YouTube channel now, Ameet. I still want you to come do the Expo shows with me on my channel, and I hope you'll continue to do that. But yeah, it'll be it's fun. I've also joked that it's like a spin-off of Sports Cards Live, which I know you're your own independent show. I joke, but in a way, it's kind of neat that you cut your teeth with me. You cut your teeth with Carlos as well. Yeah. You've done a lot of shows with him, and so like you said, it's your first time kind of driving the bus. You've been a passenger, and now you were driving it, and you're going to continue to. And so I wish you guys all the best. Look forward to what's to come. We'll ask you about episode 2 in a minute. Let's just say hello to who else we have. Tiger Jordan. After Hours with Sports Cars Live, just as good as prime time. Thank you, Tiger Jordan. Brent, looking forward to round 2. Colin, good evening again. Bobby, great to have you. Evan, thank you so much. Yannick, cold late night in Canada, no doubt, no doubt. Evan says, anyone have any big pulls this week? Big pulls. Amish Dave says, I wish I would have watched the show live on Tuesday or any Tuesday. Well, you can obviously this coming Tuesday. Good morning to you, Chris Noel. So before we talk about this Tuesday's show that you guys are doing, I want to make sure everybody who's watching, I'm showing 45 people watching right now. So welcome everybody to After Hours. If you just got here, we have Ameet and Kent from the new YouTube show Cardboard Culture. It's on the ticker right now. That is the name of the channel on YouTube. So you should all take a minute right now, go to YouTube, search Cardboard Culture, and give them a follow. Let's boost their followership for them tonight. It'll make them feel good, give them some more confidence going into their episode 2, which is coming up in 3 days. Kent, what are we expecting on episode 2?
So episode 2, we have a local breaker in town. His name is Nelson Wang. He has a Facebook group. He's a group breaker. We're going to talk to him about how he got to the point of where he is today, from being just a monthly arena show seller at a booth doing monthly shows, and then he decided to do a Facebook group, and then he decided to make it a business. So we're going to look and see what inspired him to get to where he is today. He also has like a full-time job, so we're going to talk to him about how he's juggling a full-time job and Facebook group breaking. Sorry.
Well, I mean, that sounds good. And Ameet, I mean, you've said it a couple times on the show on Tuesday. We've chatted. The angle you guys are taking with Cardboard Culture, which is aptly named because you're really looking for the culture within the hobby. And this is going to sound weird, but versus the hobby within culture. My show talks about the hobby within overall culture all the time. What's going on in the hobby? How is the public perceiving it? How are we going mainstream? All that stuff. But you're looking for the culture within the hobby. And can you kind of explain that?
So we're looking for, there's a lot of content out there that's really great. Your show and Carlos, and it talks about, how to invest and how to get started. We want to kind of bring it more to the grassroots, like more of the passion of the hobby collectors themselves. Our mantra is diversity and inclusivity, right? And inspiration. So we want to hear from people who are inspired about their hobby. And the end goal is, if you watch our show and you're inspired to go do something great or actually become a part of the hobby, that's a win. That's what I'm getting out of it. So yeah, it's kind of just showing that there's a bunch of us that really love what we do. We love this little small piece of cardboard. I would have if I had some. Oh, I do have one example I could show. This is my cardboard. But we get passionate about these little things, right? And that's our end goal.
Yeah, so just really bring people to your audience, introduce them, and show almost like one collector at a time kind of thing. One collector, like even Billy, who you had on episode 1, great guest for episode 1, by the way. Even him, we know, not everybody knows, but Billy Celio, he's a product manager at Upper Deck. He's the guy that builds the cup every year. He does great products, but he wasn't on representing Upper Deck. He was on representing himself and his personal collecting pursuits, which are in-person autographs. He doesn't want to buy an autograph at a show off a vendor's table. He wants to go to the red carpet and get it himself. And you follow Billy on Instagram, it's pictures of him and tons of different celebrities. It's really cool. And it was nice, you know, even for me, like I really enjoyed the show. Like I was like, it was just interesting. It was just fun to watch. And so I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to see what the guest lineup looks like as you guys progress through time. You know, I'll put this one to Kent. I'm just going to try and go back and forth between you guys.
Sure.
I'll put this one to Kent. Like, so you had Billy on episode 1. You've got Nelson Wang coming for episode 2. How far out are you guys scheduling? Do you have a hit list for guests? How are you going to actually fill your calendar?
We've got so Ameet and I brainstormed a bunch of who we think would be interesting guests to have on our show. And so it's kind of like a hit board. We've reached out to several other guests. I won't mention who they are, and we're just waiting for feedback to come back from them. Hopefully they'll see our first couple of shows and go from there. But we do have some lined up. You know, right now we're still developing our show and trying to get our name out there. So there may be a week where it'll just be Ameet and I just talking about the hobby. That may come up, you know, because we want to get guests as much as lined up as possible, but it's not always possible due to scheduling.
And you know what? I think that's 100% all right. You know, even on my show, I've been fortunate to get guests now, and now it gets easier as time goes by, for sure. Right. But there were a couple times where I didn't have a guest, or I just forgot to line one up, and I just called it freestyle. I'm just gonna, so you guys can now freestyle together. That's a lot better than a single host show like myself freestyling myself. It's, you know, your voice is going to get, you know, you guys at least will save 50% of your voice. Whereas if it's me, it's like 100% of it might be gone. So I would encourage you to not be scared or worried or intimidated to do that. I think it's a good idea. And the fact of the matter is, some of the feedback that I've gotten is that the viewers, they want to get to know you too. So you focus on your guests, but don't be afraid to focus on yourself once in a while, because I think that the audience does want to get to know the person who is hosting the show. That's been my experience, and it's flattering. It's nice to know that people are interested in who you are. I'm always, I don't know, flatter is the word, but it's kind of cool. Oh, they're interested in me too, not just the guests. That's kind of cool. So I was always kind of appreciative of that. I wanted to, Matt Godfrey, Jeremy has a Motorhead shirt on. Haha, awesome. Yeah, that was a tribute to, now I bought this at a Motorhead concert. This is an actual concert t-shirt. It's probably actually, does it have, no, it doesn't have I don't think it says where it was on the back, you know, the list of show dates and all that, but I did. Facebook user, Big Flames W, I just saw that, 6-4 with a few seconds left. So happy to see the Flames beat the Oilers. That just, everything is right in the world when the Calgary Flames beat the Edmonton Oilers. That's just good. That's just good for business. Mike Zier, just subscribe to their channel. Thank you, Mike. That is awesome, guys. And we're going to keep that streaming all show, guys. So make sure at some point you go out and subscribe to their channel on YouTube. It is called Cardboard Culture. They're going to be on every Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. So it's a good time and everything. Hello to you, Facebook user. Is Laffy garbage? You cannot say a player is garbage 10, 15 games into their career. It just, hockey does not work that way. It's a lot different than basketball, where you might be able to say that, but no, he's not garbage. He's getting used to a different game. The sport is the same, hockey is the same, but the game in the NHL is different than the game in juniors, and it sometimes can take these guys up to a season. Even it can take up to a season to get used to the style of play, the pace, the size of the opponents. They're not playing against 16, 17, 18-year-olds anymore. They're playing against 18 to 40-year-olds now, right? More mature men. So it's just a different, it takes a bit of time for them to adapt to the new style, and not every player adapts at the same pace. So if you're invested in Laffy and you paid up early, I would caution you before you start selling off. Give it more time. That's what I would say. What is hot, guys? What is hot? Great. Lots of things are hot. The hobby is hot. Embrace debate. Embrace debate. Oh, is that you? No, I don't think that's you, Darcy, because you don't talk like that. Embrace debate. But down here, we hear that it's me, Darcy. Always good to have you, Darcy. Paul Cashman, great to see you. Dave Kaplan, welcome to the show. Hello to you too. Got Sports says, new subscriber to Cardboard Culture here. That's awesome, guys. That's awesome. Brent Criswell, the hosts make the show. Anyone can talk sports card, but a good host does it in a way that makes it fun, engaging, and authentic. I agree. You know, the content that I consume on YouTube is because I like the guy or the gal, or well, it's mostly guy. Let's face it. I like the guy. I like the way they deliver their information, and it brings me back for more and more. Joe Perot, new subscriber. There we go, guys. We're getting those numbers up, right? Let's help these guys out. They're giving it a shot, and it's going to be, good long-term project for these guys. You're welcome for the answer. If you're on Facebook and you didn't go hit that big blue button as I asked you to earlier, please put your name in the comments so I can address you. I just want to be able to address you by your name. Paul says, easy now. It's only the regular season, but I guess Flames need their moral victories every now and then. We do, Paul. But it's extra nice to get them against the Loilers, I meant to say lowly Oilers. I mixed that up into one big word. No, I respect the Oilers. What I don't respect about the Oilers is really their past 10, 15 years. I have no respect for that, because how can you have the number one draft pick almost every year and still be marginal at best, just be a two-player team? It doesn't make sense to me, but I think
you also got rid of Taylor Hall for what, Larson? That was
Larson, yeah. Management has not been their strong suit for a couple of decades now. But I mean, at the same time, Connor McDavid is hands down the best player in the world. There's no doubt about it. He's worth everything that we talk about him for. His problem is he's on the wrong team. That's his problem. I'm just poking fun at Oilers fans that might be watching. I don't mean it, guys. I respect all fans of all sports. As fans of all teams.
He was this close to being a Leaf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Darcy, there he is. Now we know who he is. All right, he's moved over to YouTube. Welcome, Darce. Great to have you. Thank you, Colin. Support Canadian. There you go. Great to have you supporting cardboard culture. Need more shinies. That's what's hot, no doubt. Ameet is hot. Here we go.
Ooh.
Chow says, is Laffy garbage? See Stamkos, Marchand, Hughes, et cetera, et cetera. Again, speaking to the fact that players don't always, it's not like basketball where you can come out of high school or college and dominate, like be the best player on your team, lead your team to victory. In hockey, it's really hard to lead your team to victory with one. If you're Connor McDavid, even if you have Leon Draisaitl, another amazing player, but you can't win every game with two awesome players. You need more than that in hockey. It's it's a 21-man roster sort of thing. You got 6 guys on the ice at a time, a big bench. Basketball, it's different, right? You got 4 or 5 players, 3 that play the majority of the minutes, and then everyone else kind of fills in off the bench. Anyway,
people also forget Stevie Y wasn't the greatest every single year of his career, right? There was year 2 there was some questions, and then he came out flying. I think year 3. Someone can correct me on that, but he's an example.
Well, I remember the Detroit Red Wings were absolute garbage in the early 80s. They draft Steve Yzerman in 83, 84.
Yeah.
He rookie years 84, 85. And it took about 6 years for him to help lead the team to the Stanley Cup, which he did. Same thing happened to Mario Lemieux, right? Mario Lemieux came into the league in 85, 86, was a great rookie, 100-point rookie, which again doesn't happen very often, but he did it. But it took 6 or 7 years to win a Stanley Cup, but they did that. But he had a supporting cast. Steve Yzerman had an amazing supporting cast. Right now in Edmonton, there's no supporting. It's almost a negative supporting cast. I mean, outside of Nugent Hopkins, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, there's no one else. There's really no other good players on it. Darnell Nurse is not a top tier defenseman.
Well, their D sucks.
No, I mean they're just a bad team with 2 amazing players and Nugent Hopkins. Matt Godfrey says, "Go Canes." I personally know nothing about hockey, but Sebastian Aho is king. I picked up a nice Aho card last night, actually. Paul, let's see what Paul C says back to me. Paul, I love you. Before I read your comment, it's okay, Jeremy. Flames had no number 1 draft pick and did nothing either. So, well, right. But if we had number 1 draft picks, we would have been expected to do something. The Oilers had 6 in a row and have nothing to show for it except Adam Larson. I mean, I don't know. That's not a try again, Paul, because I'd love we can have some fun banter back and forth. Darcy saw about $20 of Panini Playbook NFL cracked yesterday. 1 numbered Chase Clay Pool Patch rookie card. Carlos in the house. Good evening, Carlos. Paul says hello. In 6 months, what does a Mario Lemieux BGS 8.5 go for? Ameet, do you have any thoughts on that?
Honestly, whatever number I give, it'll probably be eclipsed. At this point, it's going to be just up arrows. Just up arrows. That's all I'm going to say.
A BGS 8.5. I mean, Kent, do you have any insight or thoughts on it?
I don't. I usually refer to me because he's more the hockey guy. I'm not into hockey as much as I used to be anymore.
You're more a baseball guy, right?
Yeah.
Kent knows baseball and prospects really well, and that's where I usually rely on him for anything to do with baseball.
And it's good to have that balance too. That's why. So if you just got here, guys, welcome to After Hours. And I'll just let everybody know. So, I've been setting up the expo for 15 years, and for probably the last, 5, 6, 7 of them, Ameet and Kent have shared the booth right next to me, and we kind of open it up and have one big booth. So we've been, Ameet I talk to a lot. Kent I don't, but I see him twice a year, and hey Kent, I'm going to run to the bathroom. Can you watch my stuff? Hey Jeremy, I got to go. Can you watch my stuff? Yeah, of course. We hang out, but it's kind of cool to have you guys on in the context of starting your own show on YouTube, being entering the content creator space from a live stream format and all that. And but when I say it's good that you guys have balance, I've seen it at the expo, because Ameet's got all the hockey, Kent's got an amazing few showcases of baseball, a lot of cut autos, some really cool stuff. And so you guys have that, and to bounce each other, the sport off each other. And I can bounce baseball off of Kent too, which I know I've done. Carlos, so sorry, I already said hi to you, Carlos. I take that back. Can't say hi to you again. No, he's just saying hi to Paul. Here's a question from Darcy. We'll put this one to Kent. He says, "What are the 3 best rookie cards of Ken Griffey Jr.?"
Definitely the Upper Deck 89 for sure, because that one's just been moving up it's just been skyrocketing, and a lot of it has to do with the issue with getting PSA 10 gem mint grade. It has a lot to do with the back of the card and that hologram. Because a lot of the ones that were printed back in 89, the hologram's all screwed up. It's not even a perfect diamond. So looking for that. The other ones that are picking up steam is probably like the Fleer one, believe it or not. Because that's another one. That's another one that's tough to grade, just because a lot of edge chipping. And I would say another Griffey.
I'm going to take a stab, Kent. What do you think of this one? The Topps Tiffany.
Yes, I would. Yes, I would put the Topps Tiffany up there for sure. Yeah,
I would as well.
I actually have one. I don't know if you remember, Kent. So here's just a quick little segue, Jeremy. So as our show talk about genuine people and inspirational people, there was a gentleman from New York who came to our booth, and just because he liked our conversation, he offered up his collection.
Oh yes.
He basically gave me the Topps Tiffany Griffey. He basically just said, "Look, just give me this," and whatever the amount was substantially low, and he still did it. And he's like, "Just because you're good people, like I want to do this." So that's one of my prize cards.
That's brilliant, and what a nice story behind it. We have a question from Mike about cardboard culture. He wants to know, cardboard culture is not just hockey cards, right?
Nope.
Who wants to take this, Ameet or Kent?
Okay. I'll go, and then Kent, you can support, and then we're gonna flip it so that way you get to go first as well.
No problem.
Basically, it's about any sport, and it doesn't have to be it could be non-sport, hockey cards, baseball cards, whatever it may have you. We want to relate the topic back to cards in some way, but there has to be some moment of inspiration behind it, some genuineness, and if it's great, we could have to do some inclusivity and diversity angles as well. But yeah, it's for all sorts of stuff related to the hobby. So we don't want to pigeonhole ourselves into one aspect. And, you can even go further than just cards. It could be action figures, it could be that related. But I think at the root of it, we're talking about cardboard culture. We want it to be about that. Kent, what's your thoughts?
I agree. We don't want to, corner ourselves, put ourselves in a corner with just one particular topic. We're looking for, as Ameet alluded to, genuine people that are passionate about the hobby, passionate about what they collect. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily be about hockey cards. It could be about anything. Like right now, like soccer. Soccer's a big thing right now. We don't talk much about that. There's a lot of huge Asian collectors out there. There's not too much talk about that and the fact that they get Asian-specific products. So there's a lot of different things we can take it to. And the other thing, too, is like, look at Pokemon right now. Pokemon's just crazy. So, and Magic even, we can go to different avenues here. So we're not just limited to hockey at all.
Yeah, and even your first episode was about entertainment autographs and cards, right? Because that's what Billy collects. So you guys are you're more focused on, let's find the right guest, the right collector, and whatever they collect, that's what we want to talk about. And I think that's a pretty cool approach right there. Paul says the best analysis of Lafreniere was Sports Clown. He basically said before the season he'd be a third line winger. I mean, a little early to tell, right? What he'll be at this point in time. Sports Clown is just making a guess at that point. I don't think that's why the Rangers drafted him first overall to be a third line winger. But hey, that might be what he ends up being. It might be what he ends up being.
You know what? Can you imagine not being a third line winger and you don't have the pressure like Panarin and Zibanejad and everyone else on that team? Let the first two lines grind it out.
Right.
That's a pretty good way to get introduced into the league.
For sure. Brent says, my Canucks are getting throttled by the good team. Yeah, the Canucks are getting destroyed. I don't understand. Well, I do understand it. They sent their goalie. Well, they didn't send the goalie, but their goalie is now on my team, the Calgary Flames. So, and I mean, we beat the Canucks the other night, and goaltending was an issue. So they traded away the most important player on their team, which I like the Canucks team. I like the way they're built. I thought Thatcher Demko, the goaltender, was going to be an up-and-comer, an effective goalie. I thought Braden Holtby was going to be a great guy to kind of tutor young Thatcher. But it looks like they're just in a mess there. They're getting beat. They're not just getting beat. They're getting manhandled. 5-0, 7-2. Like, what's going on there, Ameet?
It's just like I think they lost all direction. I think they're missing a couple of defensemen. Like, didn't Tanev leave too? They lost Markstrom, and I think they lost someone else. I think the other thing is they just don't. Maybe the bubble culture is just affecting that team differently. I don't know. It's not the same Canucks team I've seen different before. But I think they let Markstrom go because of age. And I think they're going to lose him in the expansion draft or something like that. There was somebody who was making that comment, and I think they let him go because Thatcher was coming right behind him.
So almost a similar mistake to what the Pittsburgh Penguins did when Vegas came in the league, and they exposed Marc-Andre Fleury to keep Matt Murray, only to trade Matt Murray to Ottawa Senators. Now they're with Tristan Jarry, and they're marginal at best. They should have. Marc-Andre Fleury is still the best of all three of those goaltenders. So now the Vancouver Canucks didn't learn from that mistake, and they did the same thing. They went with a young guy who's just not very good, is what it seems like. But like Lafreniere, maybe he just needs more. No, he's not a rookie. It's not like it's his first time. These aren't his first games this year. But you still have a Stanley Cup winning veteran goaltender in Braden Holtby as a backup, and you're still shitting the bed every night. Like, it's ridiculous.
Like, I'm a Leafs fan, and I love when the Leafs win. But there were plays today. I was like, where are the defense? Like, there was a play. I can't remember who it was, but it got right around the guy and in and scored. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah, that was Matthews.
Yeah, that goal. And Matthews, oh my God, those red skates, there must be something special.
All right, here's a question from Joe. He says, I think he means Kent, and because Kent, I guess your name isn't on the screen while I have a comment up, but do Kent and Ameet have thoughts on the PSA 10 Jordan sales? So just to set the context, Ken Golden at Golden Auctions last weekend sold 2 Jordan rookies for $600,000 plus buyer's premium was $738,000 each. He then went live on Instagram the next day and announced that he also sold 2 more copies, so 4 total for that same price later on that night. And then we saw another one just sell. I forget which auction it was, at Heritage or PWCC. Someone sold another one for well into the $600,000 with the buyer's premium. That's what we're talking about. Kent, what do you make of these sales?
I just think right now there's a lot of people out there with a lot of income. And whether it be from influencers or not, there's a lot of talk about collecting bona fide, surefire Hall of Famers that will knowingly increase in price at some point. Like the Jordans, I think for 1.2, 1.5, I wouldn't be surprised in a couple of years to go for like $3 or $4 million. And I'm being honest with that. Like it's like, and to find Gem Mint 10 copies, like we know that the Gem Mint 10 copies, there's not a whole lot of population for those either. So
yeah, there's like 315 of them, which Sounds like a decent sized number, but we're talking about the number one branded athlete of all time. Everybody collects Michael Jordan, except probably Carlos. Carlos doesn't care. Carlos could care less about having an 86 Jordan rookie. He doesn't even like the card, probably. I'm just having fun with Carlos. But, right, I mean, I say everybody collects Jordan. Not everybody collects Jordan, but most people, 99% of the hobby would covet a Michael Jordan rookie card, right? And that's a card that it eclipses the hobby, right? He transcends the hobby. He's a cultural icon. It doesn't take a genius to know who one of the greatest athletes, if not the greatest athlete of all time, is. And when you talk about investing in cardboard, that's where people go. So, Ameet, what do you any kind of take on it that we haven't thought of yet?
So, well, no, I think you've discussed a lot of these points before. Many guests have, Carlos has, but there is people who are trying to diversify their influence and their wealth. They're looking at tangible assets outside of the stock market. So cards are definitely a good way to go. The Jordans, I believe, in my opinion, are pretty safe. 382. You know, there's like, if you look at Austin Matthews, there's what, 3,000 PSA 10s or something like that, like comparatively speaking.
Yeah.
And Gary Vee, all of them speak about investing in actually proper blue chips. He's beyond blue chip. He's a diamond chip. He's Jordan. I actually am not surprised. I'm saddened I'll never hold one. Maybe I'll see one and at arm's length. I've seen one in my life close up. But it's amazing. And I'm glad it's happening because it's affecting everything else in the hobby. So maybe those 9s, those 8s, those 7s, whatever, will keep coming up. And it does have a butterfly effect. It's trickling down everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. It's trickling down to all the Jordan rookies at lower grades.
Yeah.
And it trickles to other players as well, because those ratios, the hobby seems to want those ratios to continue to be respected. And by ratios, I mean a Jordan PSA 10 rookie versus a Scottie Pippen PSA 10 versus a Kobe versus a LeBron versus a Luka. All those things, there's a relationship between them. And when one moves, the others just move along with it. That's just the nature of the hobby. So I think you nailed it there, Ameet.
Examples like the Mike Trout Topps Update 2011 Gem Mint 10, they're going for like $6,000 right now.
Yeah, even more, and that's not a rare card.
Oh,
no, it's not. I mean, the Jordan PSA 10, 315 in the pop around there. That's a low number. You compare it to the Lukas, the Zions, and the 15,000s. It's a much bigger number. And I know I have a take that I'm pretty alone on this take, thinking 15,000 isn't that big of a number. I don't think it's as big as a lot of people think it is for the population of a very popular card, but 315, that's nothing for Michael Jordan. So makes good sense. Good topic, Joe. Thanks for raising it. Let's keep on going. Oh yeah, Ameet, please.
So the only thing, my greatest basketball player of all time is Charles Barkley. So on my bucket list is a PSA 10 Barkley. I'm just fearing what those are going to go for eventually, because it's going to get to a point where I can't touch one. I have a second year, so and it's in terrible shape. But anyways, that's just, I'm just scared about that.
It's one of those things where, and I've heard a lot of people, I've talked to some guys who were like, they collect Jordan cards, like, but I never bought the rookie because there was no urgency to buy the rookie card because there's so many out there. I'm not talking about the 10s, there's like over 2,000 9s, however many 1,000 8s. There's plenty out there. The high grades are harder to get, especially the 10s. But they're like, why would I go buy that when I can buy, there's any day you go on eBay, there's 80 of them available, whatever that number is, where I'd rather buy a really rare insert or parallel that there's maybe only 50 or 100 or 500 that exist. So now they're like, damn it, why did I wait that long? So like you with Charles Barkley, you probably waited too long at this point, because that card, if that would have been $700-800 a year ago, it's not, put another zero on there and then some for now. I'm guessing. I haven't looked at Barkley's, but I'm guessing a PSA 10 Barkley's got to be in that $5,000 to $10,000 range right now, maybe even more. Could be
easily. So I'm definitely not going to be getting one anytime soon, if at all.
Global Sports Card Investor says, good day there, legends. Appreciate all your insights. Appreciate having you, Global. Toa Hang, good evening to you. Welcome to the show. Brian Kingsley's back. Dave Kaplan, hello, says, is there an O-Pee-Chee Griffey rookie card? I don't know. Is there an O-Pee-Chee Griffey? Kent's shaking his head. We'll go with no for now. Joe says, I think in 1990. Toa loves the EX2000. Who doesn't? Like, those are just beautiful cards. Absolutely beautiful cards. Ruru, welcome to the show, says, who will be the next Mike Trout, Soto, Tatis Jr., Acuna, or should I keep collecting bets? I'm not the one to answer that question, but I mean, I hear Jason Dominguez is like the next up and comer, but I'm just talking about what I hear other people talking about in the world of hobby content. Kent, do you have an answer for Ruru?
That's a tough act to follow, to be honest with you. Even with the Soto, Tatis, and Acuna Jr., I don't know. Like, there's a lot of heavy tout and push on those three gentlemen right there to be like possibly the next Trout. I don't know if they'll actually get to the level of being an next Trout in terms of who could possibly step into what Soto and Tatis Jr. and Acuna are going for right now. Yeah, Dominguez has a lot of talk, I'll say, out there. But again, he hasn't even played like a minor league game yet, like a professional minor league game yet. The guy's still like a kid, really. And there's so much hype on him right now. And that worries me a little bit, because when you hype up somebody like that and they don't perform, and that's like, oh, what happens? You know? As for next up and comers, I don't really have one in my head right now that I could suggest at the moment. Like, anybody out there could be a wild card and be an up and comer, to be honest with you.
It reminds me, the Dominguez thing reminds me a lot of the Brian Taylor phenomenon back in like 1990.
Sure. Yeah.
It is, and I'm a fan of the Blue Jays when they're in it. Otherwise, I'm not much of a baseball fan. But I like the history of it. Don't get me wrong. But current baseball, I just don't watch a lot of it. So I put it to you, Kent. Is that an astute sort of comparison? And not the player or the position or the skill set. I know Brian Taylor was a pitcher, but the hobby's reaction to these guys who haven't played a game yet in the majors, are we seeing similar things with Dominguez as we did to Brian Taylor? I made that assumption. That's my perception, but I'd like a better perception to speak to it. So I'm going to put that to you.
I don't know. For me, like, the jury's still out. I mean, Dominguez's cards are in high demand only because of the fact that there's potential there, right?
Like Brian Taylor.
Yeah. Now, for me, when it comes to prospecting and looking at something like that, I don't usually like. I'll delve into a little bit just so there's no FOMO happening. So I'll pick up a few pieces here and there, but I won't totally heavily invest in somebody like that until I've seen that he's actually played professional games. Like for example, like even Vladdy Jr., like, so much hype on that kid, right? And then he came up to the Toronto Blue Jays and he kind of did okay. And then he had kind of off, there was questions about his weight and all this stuff. And now everybody's kind of like hoping that this coming spring and this coming year, he's going to do really well. So again, until you've had the ability to see a kid play besides just crushing a ball in like junior high school or whatever, it's hard to gauge something like that. And for me, as an investor or a collector, I'm always a little bit leery. I don't want to be jumping on the hype train because somebody else is jumping on the hype train. Do you know what I mean? Oh,
100%. Okay, man, thank you. Let's go through some comments here. We got Name in the house. Just subscribe to Cardboard Culture today. I mean, not to put the cart ahead of the horse here, but he'd be a great guest for Cardboard Culture. I'm sure you're already on it. Okay, yeah, okay. You already have a date in mind, don't you? Okay, great.
He doesn't even know it yet. I was going to reach out to him tomorrow, actually.
There you go, Name. Another gig for you. Brian Kingsley subscribed earlier today to Cardboard Culture. Looking forward to awesome content. Dave Kaplan says Demko is the future goaltender for the Vancouver Canucks, which he would know. He lives there. And yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. He's the future. That's why they bring in a Holtby to really help tutor him or bring him along, develop him. Paul says Jeremy Sports Clown is a huge Rangers fan. His analysis was really well done. It was just for his rookie year, and he had the Rangers easing Lafreniere in. I mean, I think that makes perfect sense. Easing him in is an amazing strategy. Don't rush the kid. Don't put all this expectation on him so that if he fails, he has this. His confidence is shot. I love hearing that, Paul, because that makes a lot of sense, And being a huge Rangers fan, though, I will say, doesn't make you a scout, right? It doesn't necessarily make you a talent evaluator, but you're probably tuned in to what those guys in that market are saying. So appreciate the comment. Really helps put some context around it, Paul. Predictions for the Super Bowl. I'm going Kansas City. Ameet?
I'm going for the Chiefs because I don't want to see Brady win another thing right now.
Kent?
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay. Just don't bet against Brady.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, what? Yeah, everyone's gonna bet on. I know a lot of people are going Kansas City, and they're all gonna be like, "Why would we do that when Brady wins it tomorrow?" Right? C. Barry says the Canucks spent too much money on bottom six forwards, couldn't afford Toffoli. Yeah, they gave away like their two best players, and Toffoli. I know Toffoli's not the best player, and Markstrom, but the thing is, I love the youth in Vancouver. I love that team with Horvat and Pettersson and Quinn Hughes and Brock Besser. I mean, they've got a nice core there now, and hopefully Demko turns into that for them. Rich says, your team is bad when the Leafs are literally sheepish celebrating goals against you. I think every team feels bad for the Canucks right now because they're getting destroyed night after night. It's really sad. It's sad, Yeah, Toffoli destroyed them. We enjoyed it in Montreal for sure. Toffoli got 9 goals or something against them this season already, and that's his former team. Brent says, I still think the Jordan PSA 10 is undervalued. I agree with Kent. Yeah, I do too. I mean, undervalued. It's valued perfectly at the time, but there's room for it to go up. I definitely agree. Global wants to know our thoughts on HGA grading. Too early for me. The jury's out. I want to know. I've said it before. I want to know what their qualifications are to be graders. That's very important to me. But aside from that, I'm willing to give them a chance, a fair chance. We got to see got to see some cards that are in slabs that have been graded and see if they're making mistakes that you can spot with the naked eye. Any similar or different take from you, Ameet?
I'm a PSA snob. I don't know what it is. I just love PSA holders. PSA obviously can stand back by their reputation, so I prefer to stick with that. I'm not really looking to quote unquote divest myself of those slabs, so I'll just stick with PSA for now.
Okay. Kent, anything to add?
I guess the jury's still out. We got to see, as these cards coming back from HGA, how they are through the naked eye. Same to your comment. Now, again, I know they're doing funky colors and they're doing all kinds of different things, and they're automated and stuff like that. But again, even with automation, there's always a chance for errors. So let's just wait a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm not sure what. Maybe it's out there. Maybe they put it out there in their on their website or wherever. But I don't know what it means when they say automated. What's being automated? But in terms of PSA, I'm with Ameet on that. I mean, for me, PSA is where the market assigns the value,
yep.
And we've seen other companies come up and try to have that same lofty position that PSA and BGS to a bit of a lesser extent, but they command good value too. And it's hard to do. It's hard to usurp those two brands, those two grading companies from their status right now. I think HGA, CSG, SGC, KSA, MNT. I think all these 3-letter combinations from the alphabet are all going to have a chance to get a bit of market share. But at the end of the day, if you're not PSA or BGS, I think you're just an expensive one-touch top loader sort of thing.
For sure.
Yeah, that's what I think. Carlos says the Jordan rookie is great and all, but my $4 1990 Skybox Jordan will suffice. I may even look into a top loader for it. I love it.
You may not be able to get a top loader. You can't even get top loaders these days, buddy.
Good point. It's worth more than your card, Carlos.
Yeah.
Matt says, I want to get in the Jagger card game. I didn't know he was a great player. I thought he was only popular for telling a girl he didn't care if she posted a picture of him back. He's an all-time great, absolute all-time great, worthy of anybody who collects all-time great cards, worthy of your collection. Whatever sport you collect, Jagger is worthy. I'll leave it at that. Terry Fortune says that was classic Yags with the 18 or 19-year-old girl. Gimmicky Fibers, do you think a PSA 678 of these high-end cards will hold value moving forward if there is a market correction? I do. Let me go first, guys, and then Ameet, you want to say something? I just want to say that the market moves, in concert in most cases. It moves together. Something kicks it off, and then the rest of it sort of follows along. It might take longer. Basketball went crazy. Then soccer went crazy. Then football went crazy. Pokemon was in there. And then hockey kind of came in last. But it happened. It all happens successively, sort of in concert. But in a concert, not all instruments play at the same time, right? They go when they're supposed to. And I think that's kind of what's happened there. And I think that'll happen with the individual grades as well. The PSA 10 goes up, everything goes up with it. The PSA comes down, everything comes down with it. But you go on to say when, or you say if there's a market correction. I don't think the market's wrong right now that it needs a correction, but I think the market is hot and it's going to cool down a little bit. And I think there's a difference there. Someone made the analogy the other day, and I think it made a lot of sense. They said, I don't think the bubble is going to burst, but some of the air is going to come out of the balloon. And that happens in all markets over time. I do this all the time. Cards, they're going to go up and down, up and down, up and down. But over time, they're going to always traject upwards. Ameet.
So my gut feel is, I don't know if I like the term market correction. There will be some sort of market correction, maybe an evening out period. I think all the 6, 7, and 8s will go up. And because of the reasoning is the people that can't afford the 10s, they're going to move down the line and say, what can I afford? Then the volume of people that can afford lower grades increases. So then that value should hold, right? There's only a cream of the crop will afford the bit. As we go down the chain, and more affordability as I go down the chain.
Yeah, fair comments. Franco says, why would someone pay $700K for the Jordan PSA 10 when they could have bought it for $350? Yeah, that, conspiracy theories and buyer groups and all those sorts of things. In this case, you have to go watch Ken Golden's address to the hobby the day after. And he talks about this specifically. And part of it is that people don't want to buy a card off eBay from someone they don't know for $350,000. Those people would rather spend $700,000 and buy it from someone that they know and they trust, and they feel that the card is real and there's no issues. And a lot of people don't even look on eBay to know they could have bought it for $350. So, Franco, I understand, and you're not certainly not alone in that concern, in that position, or that, thinking that, but I would encourage you to kind of open your mind a little bit more and consider that there are reasons why. So but you're saying, why would, but you end it with a which means you're very skeptical. Why would anyone do that? But open your mind a little bit and try and think about factors that would lead to that happening. And I believe there are some that would. So I'll leave that at that for now, unless either of you guys have anything to add.
I will say one thing. The amount of money that's been paid for these big cards, people who are buying these cards are going to make sure those valuations stay where they are. So they're going to either go and buy second copies, or they'll do their damnness to make sure that the valuation stays where it is. And there's a lot more wealth at that level to be able to afford to do that. So yes, that could have happened, but I think they're guaranteeing their investment. And I think it's safe and it's the right play.
I agree with that 100%. I've done it myself. I own a couple of cards, let's say, and I see another one on eBay. I don't own the card on eBay. It's someone else's card. And the bidding is I'm like, oh, that's too cheap. I'm like, oh, maybe I'll get another one because I don't want to see that comp lock in at lower. And it just is what it is. So, maybe I'll buy another one and maybe I'll get it cheap and actually dollar cost average down a little bit on the two I already have. If that happens, at least I'm going to own it and dollar cost average down my other two. I call it protectionary bidding, and it's protectionary bidding with the intention to win. If your bid holds up, you win and you own that card. It's not, and I want to really explain, it's not shill bidding because you're bidding on someone else's card and you're willing to pay the price. I don't see anything wrong with that in the hobby. And I know it happens all the time, especially at those higher levels where they're like, if you're putting 20 million into the hobby or 100 million or more, you're going to buy up, you're going to make sure that nothing sells, that another Jordan doesn't sell for significantly lower than what you just paid. I think. Well, time will tell. We'll see. Seb says, hello, Seb. With all those awesome vintage cards you have, I guess JE is Jeremy. With all those awesome cards you have, how come you don't have a Jordan RC PSA 10? Never wanted. So the reason for that, Seb, I don't have a PSA 10 Jordan, and I certainly wish I do, is because in 2008, I bought a PSA 9. And I was very happy with the PSA 9. And I still own my PSA 9. And of course, I'd love to have a PSA 10 because it's worth like 10 times more at least. But I just never stepped up and paid the cash. And I bought my PSA 9 for $1,000. So I'm doing pretty well on that. And I can't be complaining about that one. That's for sure. Brent says, what's your thoughts on the comparison Gretzky rookie and the Jordan rookie as far as value goes? Does their rise continue to parallel each other? Who wants to take this? Kent, can you speak to this at all?
I'm going to defer to me because I'm not the hockey guy. So
fair. Let's go. Ameet, what do you think?
Okay, so let me ask this question. Maybe some of the audience can answer it. How many Gretzky 10s are there total? Do we know of?
2.
And then Jordan is
315.
315. So I think Gretzky, the valuation, the reason I'm asking that question is because the Gretzky, actually, I should have known the answer. It's late at night, obviously, and I'm not thinking because I know the answer to Gretzky. I think the Gretzky will continue to rise a little bit higher, is my gut feel, because it's just so few of them.
Yeah. And the Gretzky PSA 10s, both of them have sold for more than what the Jordans have sold for. But that's not necessarily the question, is the PSA 10 level, but I appreciate that's still important information. But I think they do, Brent. I think they do parallel each other because the people that are buying the groups, the money that is buying these Jordans to an extent, I believe, are not only going to buy Jordans. They're going to buy the best of the best across the board. So if that's Wayne Gretzky, if that's Tom Brady, if it's Babe Ruth and Mickey Mantle, you're going to see some of that. So I think they're good. Peter Chow says, gimmicky. The folks who are buying the Jordans for 700 aren't selling them for 50 unless the entire economy tanks. I agree. The high prices on the 10s support the increased price in lower grades. Yep. Nailed it. Colin says, Barkley PSA 10, 18K US. Yeah, 15 to 20 grand. So there you go, Ameet. You're probably a year too late unless 18 grand doesn't scare you.
Oh, dude, $10 scares me. That's good.
Franco says, I have no doubt Griffey will hit 500K by the end of the year. I think you're kidding about that. Because of the pop on that, I don't see it hitting 500K. It's at about 5 or 6 now, I believe. Yeah. Brent says, if you have to ask who is the next Trout, he isn't around yet. I like that. That's a good comment. Franco says Trout will probably hit 50 grand by the summer. I mean, that's a big number. But I win a
World Series.
What's that?
He's got to win a World Series, I think.
I mean, part of me wants to say there's no way, Franco, but then the other's like, hey, man, nothing is off the table at this point, right? So cards have been doubling every 2 weeks for like 3 months, it seems. If that keeps going, I don't think it will. If that keeps going, we're not going to be far off of 50K for the Trout.
A good comparison is a PSA 10 Matthews. It's gone up $800 in what, 3-4 months already? It's insane.
Dude, someone tried to buy a PSA 10 Austin Matthews Young Gun off me in like November, early December. No, it was in December. Yeah. I was asking 600 US. He was like, I'll pay you 5. I'm like, sorry, man, it's $600 or I'll just hang on to it. 550. No. Then he sends me a message after. He goes, found one for 500. Thanks anyway. I'm like, great, but feel bad for the guy that sold it to you. And now they're doing like over 1,000 US. It's like, it's crazy. It's just, I don't want to say it's crazy. It's keeping up with everything else that's going on. So it's kind of the new norm in a way. Franco says there's going to be a lot of rich people walking around soon. There's a lot of cardboard rich people right now. There's no doubt. And Name says, thanks. Won't tell anyone about his upcoming appearance on Cardboard Culture, guys. If you just got here, guys, I see we've got over 60 people watching right now. Welcome you all to After Hours. My 2 guests here are the co-hosts of Cardboard Culture. We have on the ticker right now. Go to YouTube, give them a subscription, help them out. Let's support these guys on their new hobby content venture. Daniel says the Canucks D take physical distancing to a new level. That should be a meme. Someone make that into a meme. Yeah.
Meme James, we need him around.
Kaplan says they beat the Sens. I think he's talking about the Canucks, and unfortunately, that's not much to be proud of right now. The Senators should be the ones who are the bottom of the division, but I got to think it's the Canucks right now. Gimmicky Fiber says to Kent, do you think unlicensed baseball products will hold their value long-term or diminish as the hobby grows?
No, I'm going to assume you're talking about a particular company that does unlicensed baseball. Yes and no. I think that particular company you're referring to, I mean, they do have some nice high-end baseball, and there is a following for it. I just don't think it'll diminish ever because it's giving hobbyists an alternative to the main company that like Topps has the main license, right? People want something to whether it be a little bit less costly, a little bit different. I don't want to say gimmicky per se, but I think it's giving people an alternative option. So as long as there's alternative option, I don't think it'll ever diminish.
We already have seen, and I've had conversations with, I think Carlos. I can't remember who I talked to this about, but we're seeing Soto's and Tatis rookies in the Panini form. Prisms. And because the word prism is there, they're going for good bucks. So, licensed or not, the shows the wealth of the name in of itself.
Yeah, even Trout has a PMG from Upper Deck that is unlicensed, but sells. It's an employee exclusive, beautiful card. Yeah. Sells for big dough, like at least $3,000 to get into one of those. I mean, $3,000 isn't so much big dough anymore in the hobby. Like now, big dough is $30,000. It seems, but to us, it's like $3,000 is big dough, right? Like. It's crazy. I like this comment by Brent because I agree with it. He says, I see PSA making the next big upgrade in grading. They have the power and popularity to do so. They're the market leader in grading. They are the market leader, hands down. And I am with you. And now that the sale is actually going to happen, we know that the Nat Turner Group is going to take over PSA and Collectors Universe. I have a lot of faith in that company moving forward. I'm very happy about that. I like this from Matt, KFC Grading Company.
That was hilarious.
That's pretty funny. That's Barry from ComC, our friend, says Jack Hughes Young Gun fell to $35 to $40 on ComC up to the start of the season, stayed there because people thought he was a bust. Now he's won 15 plus, right? Didn't have the greatest rookie year, but he's showing that he's getting better and he's scoring and he's doing things. So speaking of the Lafreniere thing, and I love that sorry, I forget who was it, Paul told us about what's happening in New York, that they're easing Lafreniere into the system. That's going to pay dividends down the road for them. Too many players have been rushed to be the leader at a young age, and then they just it's a psychological issue. It doesn't work out well. So kudos to the Rangers. That's good management right there. Is that still Glenn Sather, I wonder? Because that's the last time the Oilers had good management.
He's the GOAT of managers.
He's the GOAT of managers. Brian Kingsley says, after the grading wars are over, you don't want to get stuck with Confederate bucks. Well said. Barry, I'm fine with Lafreniere not scoring right now. Yeah, those who understand hockey prospects and, easing in, we are with you, Barry, but the greater hobby doesn't get it. Like by greater hobby, I mean the people who came over from basketball, football, baseball, wrestling, Pokemon, came in and are expecting immediate dividends on the ice because of what that young gun was selling for right when it came out. So,
I bought 3 today because I saw it dipping. So I was like, I'm going to scoop them up.
Scoop them up. Maybe it's not don't be a seller right now, be a buyer. Perhaps maybe they'll go down even more. Who knows? Franco says Tatis is a 5-tool guy that does everything well. He's naturally gifted. And that's the reason to buy somebody. 5-tool guys are the guys to be buying, in my opinion, as far as my opinion is good when it comes to baseball. Seb says to get top loaders these days, you have to buy base cards on ComC and check the box saying you want a top loader. I wonder if they're going to run out to them. Franco, I don't know what this is in relation to, just like Gary B predicted with a again. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that's about. Chad, great show tonight, guys. Getting late in the US, so we'll finish on the replay. Hey, Chad, it's not late on the West Coast, so maybe you should stick around for a while still. I'm just bugging you. I think Ameet makes an astute point. I'd rather have the top loader than the Jordan card too. Carlos, there's more. Paul says, Carlos, there's more to Ameet than the Palfy fanboy we all know and love.
Carlos, you gotta drop a Ziggy reference. I'll do it on your show, and I'll do it on Carlos's show. But I'm trying to keep Ziggy out of our other show. But can I tell you what the most valuable thing is right now, Jeremy?
Yeah.
Penny sleeves.
Penny sleeves, I know. They're tough. I just want to go through these final Palfy comments here, but especially this one here. Palfy was like Jagger Light, and I agree with that. He was like Jagger Light. So speaking of Ziggy Palfy, I happen to have a card right here of his that I just picked up.
Oh, nice.
0203 Trilogy patch card, not numbered, game use patch. And the reason why this is here is because I recently bought This is a 42 card set, and I just bought like 33 cards in one bunch off a guy who had to abandon the set. And I'm like, all right, I'll take those. Those are nice. There's some sweet cards in here. So a couple of Gretzky's, a nice Patrick Waugh, Martin Brodeur, some amazing cards. For our Vancouver fans out there, there's a nice Marcus Naslund with a sweet piece of the old jersey, the old skate patch there. Anyway, I won't show all those, but that was cool. Ruru says, I see 88, 89, 90 Jordan cards going up. Yeah, all the Jordan cards went up in price. Colin Murray, the guys that bought the Jordan for $650 could all have one already that they paid $20K for 3 years ago, and now it's worth $650. Sure, they could have, of course. Yeah. Jeremy, you need to show off your collection. I'd love to see it on an episode one day. I hate to say it, but it would take more than a day, Franco. It would take more than a day. Hockey guy Trout isn't winning a World Series anytime soon. The show earlier was one of my favorite. Oh, that's cool, Chris. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, Mike was an awesome guest. He's the kind of guy you want running card shops, right?
For sure.
Yes, 100%. And he's genuine. He's fun. He made me smile. He's the kind of, we don't have enough of those guys. I mean,
no, not nearly enough. No.
Yeah, I think he's a great guy too. He was super nice even afterwards in chat. After we killed the end of the broadcast and kind of said our goodbyes. Super nice guy. Hockey guy, I want to see the Canucks play the Sharks, battle of the trash cans. Noah says, what we're seeing is the legitimizing of the hobby. The rich have gotten in and taken it as a legitimate alternative of investing, just like people collect and invest in art and paintings. Like, bingo. That's what I see and hear is happening. We'll leave it at that.
You can't hold a Picasso, right? You can hold a Trout card pretty easy, right? Makes it
yeah. You're not taking your Picasso to your buddies to show them. Last night I actually went to a friend's house. We were wore our masks. We were hanging out in his heated garage, and I took a bag of cards to show him. I literally it was a bubble mailer. I took a bubble mailer full of cards to show him that I got in. I'm not taking my Picasso with me. I'm also not taking my stock certificates or whipping out hey, check out my stock portfolio holdings, right? Like, who does that? Cards are so much more fun to share and more appropriate to share with your like-minded friends who are in the hobby as well.
I just had a thought, Jeremy.
Yeah, man.
I don't know why I don't own a share in Collector's Universe stock. I should have bought one.
Too late now.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's like $92 or something, but they're, it's going to be delisted right away. They are it is going private still.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. Daniel say, hi, Kent. Do pitchers get less hobby love than the batters?
Sadly, yes. And it's just because people like to see the big show. They like to see the home runs. They like to see the 5-2 players. Pitchers, they're kind of one and done. Like, for example, a perfect example is like, for all the accolades that Clayton Kershaw has, his rookie cards aren't that high, and they're quite affordable, to be honest with you. That's just the way the hobby is. The people want to see the muscular guys like Pete Alonso, Mike Trouts. That's just what attracts the hobbyists, the baseball collectors.
Yeah, man. It's like the other sports too, right? Hockey, it's all about the scorers, less about the goalies and the defender. Basketball, it's about the scorers, less about the big man, right? It's all about. In football, it's all about the quarterbacks and a few receivers and a few running backs. And those guys are so risky. Their careers just don't last very long unless you become an Emmitt Smith or a Jerry Rice. Even a Barry Sanders didn't last very long. You can have some great guys that are going to be collectible for many, many decades, but a lot tougher there. I agree with that. Terry, I just had to look under the loop to see what year this was. But yeah, these are 03, 04. I said 02, 03. Terry catches the details. He knows his stuff. Chris says, it's amazing how people watching this group of shows is now picking up Palfi cards. Who says we aren't influencers, Jeremy? That's funny, Chris. I only picked up the Palfi. It was in the set. The guy had it. I didn't go looking for it, but Palfi was a great player. It's like we make fun of him on YouTube. A few of the, Carlos's channel here, Amish Dave, and now Cardboard Culture, I'm sure. But the guy was a legitimate stud. Like he was a Jagger light. He scored a lot of points in his day. I won't, for Kent. Oh, go ahead, Ameet.
I won't joke. I actually put Ziggy Palfi on our list. Oh, yes.
Get him as a guest on the show.
So that'll be.
I hope he's a genuine collector then, because that would fit your theme for sure. We'll see. Gimmicky Fibers, Kent, do you think the upcoming bargaining agreement in MLB will hurt the value of the cards this year, or do you think the hobby is denying the potential of another strike?
That's a good question. I think the way the hobby is reacting right now, I would lean towards denying the potential of another strike for sure.
All right, there we go. I'm going to ignore Peter Chow's comment because I can't bear to admit that Calgary would be below Vancouver in the standings. That just doesn't make any sense. I don't think Vancouver's won only like 1 or 2 games. Yeah, Picasso can't tear an ACL. That line's been making its way around the non-athletes of the hobby. Dave Kaplan, lots of talk about Laffy, but what about the rookies that are actually doing something? Suter, Kaprizov, Smith, Hoglander. I'm seeing these artifacts rookie redemptions that may be these guys. They will be those guys. Upper Deck's not going to mess around. They will make those the guys that the hobby wants them to be. They're not going to mess that up. The other thing is that list of players, there's nothing sexy there. There's nothing sexy about any of those players there. Maybe Hoglander. I don't know anything about him, but if he's as young, if he's 18 years old, maybe Kaprizov. My understanding is he's 23 years old, not your traditional type of rookie. So, in terms of the sexiness of a prospect to invest in, I think it's still going to be all around Lafreniere and even rookies of prior years. Anything to add to that, Ameet?
There's a lot of rookies outside of this year that you can write home about. There's still a lot of guys that are making noise. I mean, you just have to look at Comp C and see what's hot on the page. Just refresh, click rookie card, and you'll see what people are prospecting pretty easily. I do like Pius Suter. I think that's what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Hoglander looks good. Kaprizov is older, so it might not be the guy you want to collect. Ty Smith is young. But then you got to give these guys time. I don't prospect hockey. I'd rather wait till they're a little bit more proven. Like even McDavid, I didn't buy McDavid. I think you were the same, Jeremy. We didn't buy McDavid until year 2 or year 3. Yeah,
true. I think Pius Suter had a hat trick the other day, actually. So, I mean, I think so. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he had a hat trick. So that's sexy. But you don't hear anyone else talking about him, and I don't either until right now tonight with Dave Kaplan's comment. But maybe he'll grow into his sexiness. All right, enough of that. Why is there no love for the Messier rookie card, only available in O-Pee-Chee and a total stud? Oilers 2020, welcome. Well, there is a ton of love for that card. Actually, his PSA 10 card catapulted from being like a $2,000 card to well into the $20,000 to $25,000 level, and there is love for it, but it's not. He hasn't really the love for his rookie card, I don't believe, has been picked up by the non-hockey collectors yet. Not by enough of them. I think some have. There is no O-Pee-Chee. He was a high number card in O-Pee-Chee. There's no tops card, which I think is good for the O-Pee-Chee card. I think it makes the O-Pee-Chee that much more elusive or that much more interesting and desirable. So, but there is love for it, is my perception, Oilers 2020. Yeah. Jay Sutt, welcome back. Have you guys heard about the 81 Red Rooster, long hair, Gretzky long hair, pulled from distribution because he didn't like it? Heard of it? Yeah. Don't mean to be rude. Don't like the card. Those are ugly cards, in my opinion. It's not even something I care about. You guys?
It's low on my totem pole, but it was an interesting story because it just shows how much pull he had back then. If it's true that he's like, don't push that card out. But honestly, I would never want to own it.
It's not, to me. It's not even on my radar. It's I've got a pretty diverse collection, and it's just not on my radar at all. It's off my radar. Franco says pitchers get no love. We agree with that. Colin says pitchers play every 5 games. I think that's a really important reason why. Part of the reason why they don't get any love, but they're also, let's face it, the camera is on them quite a bit, right? Yeah. The TV camera is on them quite a bit when they're playing. It's on them more than anybody else, actually, because the batters come and go 3, 4, 5, 6 per inning. That's that same pitcher pitching, but they don't play enough maybe to impact the overall season a team can have. I know that's I got to think about that a bit, but Kent, what do you? I mean, we talked about, never mind. We already talked about it. Rich says leave the Palpies alone. Ruru, great show, great info, good night, and go Raiders. Hopefully we get Deshaun Watson. Thanks you for tuning in, Ruru. Ty Smith is a defenseman, makes sense. Franco says Palffy had skill. He just had the misfortune of playing on a few bad teams. I remember him best lighting it up for the Islanders, right? He played for the LA Kings, and I just lost interest in him on the LA Kings. I forget where he went after that, but I think he played for a few more teams still. Ameet?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Palffy also, like, he played, what I remember most is, didn't he play with the Islanders on that cartoon logo? Did they have a cartoon logo? Yeah, that's what I remember him.
The fisherman's friend or whatever, yeah.
Yeah.
Chris makes a good point here. He says Palffy left the NHL due to getting tired of the travel schedule. And that actually rings a bell. I think I remember hearing that back when. We're confirmed. Pius Suter did have the hat trick. Yeah, Barry confirms as well. Peter says, what do you folks think about the day trading aspect of basketball, shuffling over to hockey with Toffoli, etc.? I mean,
it's actually happening quite often, more often than you think. It's happening on ComC. You'll see it every day. You'll go and you'll see people flipping young guns and of rookies because they're day trading young guns and rookies on ComC, and I see it all the time. So people are definitely applying it. Now, I think it's a small group of people, and I think it's a very dangerous game to play because it's also like a commodity stock. Like I've seen an example, Konechny went to $25. Now he's back down to $9. So if you got in too late, you lost your shirt.
That was Konechny on the Philadelphia Flyers, just to clarify. Yeah.
Yeah. So like it is happening. And what do I think about it? I don't really like it, but at the same time, that's not the game I play. I look at futures, like what's going on 5-6 years from now.
Yeah.
And I just think we got to get used to it because it is what is happening in the hobby now. A lot of the people that have come in over the last year and a bit now came over from that kind of culture, the sneaker culture, the day trading culture, and it's a part of it now. And we either have to accept it, adapt, and move forward, or bitch, complain, and then bitch and complain some more.
I think for me, it's accepting that it's here, but I still am collecting my style. It hasn't altered my vision.
Right.
Yeah.
When I say adapt and move forward, I mean adapt to how we let it fit into our hobby. Not saying you have to get into it at all. Yeah, just to clarify that. Yannick says, what are your guys' vision on the HGA? We talked about it already, Yannick, and our basics. To summarize, we think, we think they're going to have trouble getting market share, basically, at the end of the day. And for cards in their slabs to see the same value that those in PSA and BGS slabs do. Suter is older than Kaprizov. I did not know that. So another old rookie, and those old rookies just don't fare that well in the hobby for very long. Billy Celio, your guest from episode number 1 of Cardboard Culture. Again, we got people coming in and out of the chat, in and out of watching. So if you just got here, guys, these are the co-hosts of Cardboard Culture, the new channel on YouTube. Check it out on the ticker right now. Go give them a subscribe on YouTube, and let's help support these guys. What else? Oh, go ahead. Someone wants to Ameet, is that you?
No, I was going to wait for you to read the questions.
Okay. We got people talk. Well, let's see what Rich says. To Dave Kaplan, the guys that are sexy in hockey equal high draft choice, Canadian, scoring, point-getting centermen. The others get much less love. Yeah, there's some goalies, some wingers, of course, and even a couple defensemen nowadays, but much less, I think, is still accurate. And I think Dave probably is aware, but I mean, it's always fun to look past Lafreniere and see what other options there are, especially with Series 2 coming out soon and Series 1 now being out for a few months. What other options are there for people that want to prospect and invest in some young guys?
Stützle is probably the guy in Ottawa. Stützle is probably. I think he's setting a good pace with his scoring. I think he's scored quite a bit so far.
Yeah.
The one thing I believe Rich says is about the picks being Canadian. I'm really hoping that Ovi and Elias Pettersson have changed the mindset in terms of people only going for the Canadian players. Austin Matthews, again, another example. I think that more and more people are coming over into the hockey culture and card culture. They'll start seeing points on the board versus what they look like or where they're from. So I'm really, really hoping that Ovechkin has broken that mold. So I hope I don't hear that again, to be honest with you.
I think Ovechkin has done that. He's done it for me. As a collector, Ovechkin deserves to be in my collection as much as Sidney Crosby does. And I'm not going to compare him to Wayne Gretzky or to Bobby Orr or Gordie Howe, but because that's a different thing. But Sidney Crosby, there's a lot of parallels there. And I think he deserves it 100%. Paul says that Nick Suzuki's cards have been climbing lately. Yeah, been hearing about that. I don't follow them, but I've been hearing that. Chris says the Gretzky Rooster is like the Nike Jordan postcard. I agree. To me, they're just not on my. Although that Nike Jordan is a nicer looking piece. The Gretzky, those Rooster cards, I look at them and I almost start gagging. Like it's just not a nice looking card at all. Just not at all. Franco Dubs asks a very good question. Why doesn't Pavel Bure get more respect in the hobby? Top 5 when it comes to overall skill all time. So that's subjective, but he gets some very regionally focused love, I've noticed.
Yeah.
Better question for the guys from Vancouver that are in the chat, like Rich, like Dave, who may know. But he, you look at his nice high-end cup cards, they go for, money, big money, as up there with anybody who's not named Gretzky Crosby. Pretty much they get some big dollars. So he does get some love in the hobby, some respect. He doesn't have a lot of cards is another thing. Doesn't have a lot of cards like so many other players. I mean,
he doesn't sign as much either. Actually, if Billy's still, maybe he can confirm, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't sign as much. He doesn't have that much out there.
No, he signed for Upper Deck for a few years and had some cup cards, probably some SPA and that. But I like this. Matt Godfrey, like Greg Maddox said, chicks dig the long ball. So the hobbies, we're like a bunch of chicks here in the hobby. I love it. Jordan wants to know if we should look at the SCL fantasy hockey standings. Not right now because we're running short on time. Gimmicky 5, just because these guys are on the East Coast and we're already 20 minutes past when we said we would be. Kent, do you think that the hype of quantity of rookies in Series 1 coming out Tuesday is taking away from the quality of the actual rookies, or do you think this release is going to be a stud?
To be honest with you, I think it's going to be a stud. And the reason why I say that is because Topps held back a lot of these rookies that should have been in 2020 Topps update. So there's a lot of people that are going to break this stuff, I'll tell you right now, and they're going to want to pull the key rookies from this Series 1 for sure. So, yeah.
So you're thinking.
What's scary about that, Kent, is 2020's rookie class was phenomenal. So I can't imagine what 21's rookie class is going to be. It's almost on par with those names already. And that doesn't even mention the guys we don't know yet.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, guys. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I'm going to ask the chat, guys. I know it's going to be tough, but can you stop commenting? Because we got to wrap up here in about 5 minutes. I don't. The reason I ask you to stop commenting, because if you keep commenting, I'm going to want to keep going. So now watch, they're going to keep commenting. For Jordan, I do want to, at the end, Jordan, we'll bring on the stats. So I think, yeah, we'll definitely bring them on, but we'll do it at the end, maybe even after these guys leave, just because it's late for them. Dawadeen says, I think people will shift back to modern cards. These Hall of Famers are going up so much, regular folks can't afford them. They will go back to Ja, Luka, Zion. I agree with that sentiment. But going back to Ja, Luka, Zion, they're not cheap either, right? That's the thing. Prospects are expensive. The top prospects are expensive, and young guys. The legends are expensive. It's like you got to be extra savvy these days to find something that still has a lot of room. So I don't know what they're going to shift back. Maybe they just shift back to lower graded cards, that kind of thing, right? You don't need PSA 9. You don't need PSA 10 of a Luka. A PSA 9 is still a beautiful card. Who cares if it's a little bit off-centered? It's still a nice card. Back in the day, back in the 80s, all you cared about was mint condition. There were no numbers. It was, is it mint condition? And trust me when I tell you, cards that are in PSA 7s and 8 slabs, 8s for sure, would have been considered mint condition in the 80s, late 80s even. So, and a PSA 9 is called mint. A BGS 9 is called mint. It's not a bad card to get into. I mean, look at the Michael Jordan PSA 9.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instead of holding out for a 10 and not buying a 9, you're lucky if you bought a 9 back in the day. So Franco says, can't wait to see the crowded Toronto Expo if it ever happens this year. I think we'll have one by November. I hope. Fingers crossed.
November, my gut feel is going to be, it'll be the November show will be held in December. Like that's my gut feel. And Jeremy, we're going to need another booth with a couch for all the people that are going to come visit us now. Can you imagine?
Well, I mean, I'm still going when I go to the expo, I'm going there to transact, to buy and sell cards. So, I'm happy to say hi to anybody that comes by, of course, and have some people hang out. Sure. But, you know what it's like for me at expo. I mean, it's like I'm doing deals.
Same with us. We just hogging cards and slinging cards, right? But it's going to be like, hold on.
Well, we'll see. We'll see how it is. I can't wait for it. I can't wait for the next national, next expo. They're going to be so much fun. And, and being in the content creation space, I think will make it that much more fun because so many more people know us.
Yeah.
Now. And that's going to make it fun to get to meet a lot of these people face to face, shake some hands or bump elbows and just talk hobby and meet more people. Colin Murray says, Palfy played with Mario and Crosby in 05, then went home, career complete. That's not a bad way to end your career. Playing in Pittsburgh with Crosby and Lemieux. Thank you very much, Keith. Glad to have you. Anyone, again, don't forget, guys, to go and subscribe to Cardboard Culture. Go just look it up on YouTube and you'll find it. Give them a subscribe. Kelly Winters, great to have you. Thank you for joining. Frank says the expo is going to be a license to print money. I can't wait. Yeah, no doubt. Yannick, sorry, Jeremy, meant the hybrid technology behind the grading, the future of grading in general. No disrespect, but they have a long way to go. Yeah, I don't know what their technology is. I don't know what they mean by automation or by computerized. I don't know what that is exactly. So until I do, I don't believe in computerized grading. I don't think that it can do as good of a job as humans. I just don't think so. I know humans don't do a great job, or I don't say they don't do a great job. The consistency is lacking across the board, but I think we're going to see it tightened up at PSA for sure with new leadership. I know Jeremy Murray from Beckett said their holders are going to be improved after they've gone through this counterfeited holder issue. So I think any other company coming in is, there's a lot of industries that are ripe for disruption. And a lot of people would argue that the grading aspect of the hobby is ripe for disruption. I don't see it though. I mean, it might be right, but I think it's harder to do than it is to disrupt the restaurant industry or the coffee industry. So I don't know that I could be talking on my butt for all I know right now, but I mean, just I just don't see it. Hockey guy says Pavel Bure gets a ton of love for high-end rare stuff. And sorry, guys, Kent and Ameet, I'm just trying to get through the comments now. We'll wrap this up in 3 minutes. We'll go an hour and a half and be done. Say some goodbyes.
Yep.
Okay. Pavel Bure does get a lot of love. The fight for his cards are crazy. Okay, so he gets the love. We know. I'm going to skip the rest of the Bure comments. Yeah, we'd all love to go back. Could you imagine going back 12 months right now? We'd all be billionaires, Franco. Yeah. We'd all be billionaires. Dawadeen lets us know that Jerry Rice PSA 10 sold for $125,000 to PWCC. Get the 8s and 9s, 7s. Oh, my gosh. Good night, Yannick. Great to have you. Seb says, if you want to spend time with Jeremy at the expo, bring cards he wants. Yeah, for sure. I love looking at cards. Yannick says, hybrid can take care of the measures, but humans still grade the eye appeal. Yeah, fair. Maybe it can handle the centering and I can measure the card for sure. But what about a card that has a bit of a bow to it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Prism, O-Pee-Chee Platinum, older cards, they start to bow. Anything with a chromium, anything with two different materials on it, right? They can expand at different rates, just like happens when things get cold. They don't always move at the same rate, and you get these bowing happening. So yeah, if they're going to flatten it too, which means touching the surface. Who wants their surfaces touched? I don't know. Take the workload off. Yeah, I just don't see it. I don't see it, but I'm open-minded enough to say, show me and I'll buy in. Show me and I'll buy in. And then I'll sing a different tune, I promise. So yeah, I'm done. Thanks, Yannick. Okay, guys. Well, listen, I mean, Kent, any final words from you about anything? You want any more plugs for Cardboard Culture? You guys had your first episode last Tuesday. Second episode is coming up this Tuesday. Anything you want to say?
I just say, you know what? Stay tuned. We're going to have more guests for sure. And again, to touch upon what we had said earlier, if anybody didn't catch us at the beginning, we're going to try to have inclusivity and just genuine people that are passionate about the hobby and what they collect. So stay tuned for that. And we appreciate the followership, the viewership and the followership. And Jeremy, I want to thank you too for having us on tonight. I really appreciate it. And thank you very much.
Hi, man. It's my pleasure to have you. You know, I'm supportive of you guys, and we're friends and expo pals, neighbors, all that. So, hey, man, thank you for saying that. And it's my pleasure. Final comments from you, Ameet, and I think we'll sign off. If the guys in the chat, you want to say your final goodbyes and good nights, it just hit midnight here where I am, so I'm about done myself. But Ameet, back to you, and then we're gonna end this thing.
Yeah, so Kent already picked up on it. We're all about diversity, inclusivity, and just genuine people, and about passionate and inspirational stories. So we have a Gmail address, which is if you join our Facebook group or message us on our Cardboard Culture YouTube channel, you can get a hold of us. If you have people you feel would be the right fit or the right bill for such a topic and conversation, and wouldn't mind getting on YouTube, give us a holler and let us know, and we'll check it out. Other than that, thanks, Jeremy, for having us on. I can't wait to do this. And I hope I see and talk to you in our 10-year anniversary.
That's awesome, man. For sure. Okay, we have a few final comments here. Colin lets you know you're at 53 subscribers now, guys. What were you at when we started? 43?
43.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
43. So we've had right now there's 50 people watching. Guys, help these guys out. Go give them a sub on YouTube. Even if you catch every second, third, fourth, fifth episode, it doesn't matter. The sub number, it's encouraging. It helps content creators want to continue what they're doing. It's nice feedback. So give them that. Give them a thumbs up. We'll take a thumbs up on this video. If you've enjoyed the shows tonight, give a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed the shows tonight, still give us a thumbs up. You're still here. Terry Fortune, thank you for joining in. Name says, only been on YouTube a few days and already have more subscribers than me. Great work, guys. There you go. Paul, good night to you. Pleasure to have you. And no hard feelings on the Oilers, Oiler Flames banter. Franco says, can't wait to see you guys at Expo. Can't wait to see you at Expo too, Franco. And to everybody, if you're still watching, you come to Expo. Don't be shy. Come say hello. Let us know who you are. Yeah. I want to meet everybody. I really do. Seb says, the pleasure is to play. Makes no difference what you say. Don't share your greed. The only card I need is the Ace of Spades. The Ace of Spades. That must be lyrics from, is that Motorhead?
Yep.
That's Motorhead, isn't it? Love it. Hog Chris, thank you very much. Gimmicky Fibers, thank you for joining tonight. Pleasure to have you. Fellas, what do you think? Is that it?
I'm barely audible as I talk to this. Right?
I think we're tapped out.
Yeah. All right, guys, we're going to sign off. You two, though, wait right there a minute. Everybody else, guys, thank you for tuning in tonight. I had a lot of fun with on both shows tonight. Back on next Saturday with Patrick Bet David, probably the guest I've had who has the most followers and subscribers himself in the whole in the hobby. I think he's got like over 3 million YouTube subscribers and like 5 on Instagram, something like that. So that should be fun. We have him for a short time, not the whole episode, but we'll take what we can get from this guy. So should be a good time. That's next Saturday. And that's it. Good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in and have a great week ahead and enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow.